Welcome to our channel. Today we're sharing a heartwarming true story of faith, friendship, and love. Jason and Heather were inseparable friends, united by their shared passion for teaching and serving in their church. But it wasn't until a 3-month mission trip that Heather realized she was in love with Jason. What followed was a journey of prayer, patience, and divine timing that led to an unexpected and beautiful proposal. Join us as we dive into this real-life love story that reminds us all to trust in God's plan. Jason and Heather were both passionate about teaching and deeply rooted in their faith. They had met at the local high school where they both taught, Jason in history and Heather in English. Their classrooms were side by side, and they quickly became close friends. Sharing a love for their students, their church, and their community, they soon found themselves spending more and more time together. As the months passed, their bond deepened. They started attending the same Bible study, volunteering for the same church events, and working together on the youth group ministry. Their friends often joked that they were like two peas in a pod, always together, always in sync. But neither Jason nor Heather ever considered that there might be something more between them. At least, not yet. Heather admired Jason's dedication to his faith and his commitment to his students. She loved how he could bring history to life for his students, making even the most mundane topics interesting and engaging. She found herself looking forward to their daily conversations and the moments they shared at church events. For Jason, Heather was a breath of fresh air. She was kind, compassionate, and had a way with words that made her students love literature. She was always there to lend a listening ear or offer a word of encouragement. Jason valued their friendship immensely, and he couldn't imagine his life without Heather in it. When Jason announced that he was going on a 3-month mission trip, Heather was thrilled for him but also felt a pang of sadness. She knew how important this trip was for Jason, but the thought of not seeing him every day was difficult to bear. It was during this time apart that Heather began to realize just how much Jason meant to her. As Jason prepared for his trip, Heather found herself praying more fervently than ever. She prayed for Jason's safety, for the success of his mission, and for clarity about her own feelings. It was during one of these prayer sessions that Heather realized she was in love with Jason. The realization hit her like a ton of bricks. She had always cherished their friendship, but now she knew that her feelings went much deeper. She wrestled with whether or not to tell Jason how she felt. On one hand, she didn't want to jeopardize their friendship. On the other, she couldn't deny the truth in her heart. Heather decided to keep her feelings to herself and trust in God's timing. She believed that if it was meant to be, God would make a way. So she continued to pray, leaning on her faith and trusting that everything would work out as it should. When Jason returned from his mission trip, Heather was overjoyed to have him back. Their friendship picked up right where it left off, but now Heather was keenly aware of the unspoken feelings she harbored. She continued to pray for guidance, asking God to either remove these feelings or bring clarity to the situation. As the months passed, Heather's feelings for Jason only grew stronger. She found herself thinking about him constantly, wondering if he might ever see her as more than just a friend. But Jason seemed completely oblivious to her feelings. He treated her with the same kindness and respect as always, but there was no hint of romantic interest. Heather began to wonder if she was destined to remain in the friend zone forever. She considered moving on, trying to focus on her own life and letting go of the hope that Jason might one day return her feelings. But every time she prayed about it, she felt a deep sense of peace, as if God was telling her to be patient and wait. A year after Jason's mission trip, he found himself at a crossroads. He was faced with a major decision about his job, and he didn't know what to do. Feeling overwhelmed, he decided to embark on a 3-day fast, seeking God's guidance and clarity. When he mentioned this to Heather, she immediately offered to join him in the fast. Heather saw this as an opportunity to not only support Jason, but also to seek clarity about her own feelings. She had been praying for so long, and now she hoped that this fast might bring the answers she had been waiting for. During the fast, Heather and Jason stayed in close contact, sharing their thoughts and experiences with each other. On the second night, Jason called Heather and they talked about how the fast was going. Then, out of the blue, Jason asked, "Is this a good time to talk about us?" Heather's heart skipped a beat. She had been waiting for this moment for so long, but she wasn't sure what Jason was going to say. As she listened to him talk, her emotions were a mix of hope and anxiety. Jason's voice was calm as he spoke. He told Heather that he had been thinking a lot about their friendship and how close they were. He knew that they would be perfect together, but there was one problem. He just didn't have any romantic feelings for her. Heather was stunned. She had spent the last year praying and hoping that Jason would one day see her as more than a friend. But now, hearing him say that he didn't have feelings for her, she felt like her heart was breaking. But Heather was also strong in her faith. She took a deep breath and replied, "Well, if you ever do get feelings for me, you might as well just propose because dating wouldn't look any different from the way we are right now." Her words surprised even her. She had no idea where that courage had come from, but she felt a sense of peace after saying it. She knew that Jason had made a commitment not to date until it could end in marriage, and she respected that. Jason was quiet for a moment, processing what Heather had said. He admitted that it had been 7 years since he'd had a girlfriend, and he was used to not thinking of women in that way. Heather suggested that he try to think of her in that way, and then they could see where things went from there. After their conversation, Heather continued to pray, trusting that God would work everything out according to his plan. She had no idea what would happen next, but she felt a deep sense of peace, knowing that she had been honest with Jason and with herself. 3.5 weeks later, Heather's 25th birthday arrived. She had planned to celebrate with friends and family, but she had no idea that this would be a day she would remember for the rest of her life. Jason had been unusually quiet since their conversation, and Heather wondered if he had been thinking about what she had said. But she didn't want to pressure him, so she kept her feelings to herself and continued to pray. On the day of her birthday, Jason called Heather and asked her to come to the front of the church. She was confused but curious, so she did as he asked. As she walked up to the front, she saw Jason standing there, looking nervous but determined. As Heather stood in front of the congregation, Jason took a deep breath and began to speak. He told everyone about the close friendship he and Heather had shared over the past year, and how much he had come to admire and respect her. Then with a smile he said, "Heather, 3.5 weeks ago, you told me that if I ever got feelings for you, I should just propose. Well, here I am, standing in front of you, ready to ask you the most important question of my life." Heather's heart was racing as Jason reached into his pocket and pulled out a small box. He got down on one knee and opened the box to reveal a beautiful engagement ring. "Heather," he said, his voice full of emotion, "will you marry me?" Heather's eyes filled with tears as she nodded and said, "Yes, Jason, I will." The congregation erupted in applause as Jason slipped the ring onto Heather's finger, and they embraced, overwhelmed with joy and gratitude. After the proposal, Jason and Heather were on cloud 9. They couldn't believe how quickly their lives had changed, but they were both certain that this was God's plan for them. They began planning their wedding, excited to start their new life together as husband and wife. As they worked on the details of their big day, they also took time to reflect on how far they had come. They both knew that their relationship was built on a strong foundation of faith and friendship, and they were committed to keeping God at the center of their marriage. Jason and Heather continued to serve in their church and work with the youth group, knowing that their love story would be an inspiration to others. They were determined to honor God in their relationship and to build a marriage that would stand the test of time. Their love for each other was a testament to the power of faith and the beauty of a life lived in partnership with God. They knew that their love story was a gift from God, and they were determined to honor that gift for the rest of their lives. Thank you for joining us for this inspiring love story of Jason and Heather. Their journey reminds us of the importance of faith, patience, and trusting in God's timing. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more heartwarming stories and content that uplifts the soul. Remember, love is patient, love is kind, and with faith, anything is possible. Until next time, stay blessed and keep the faith alive.